ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Hey, Jules and Jez here. Join us as we unpack the news of the week on Not Stupid.
But to your point, I do actually think there is something kind of fascinating about that success, but disturbing that Democrats have to get bitchy and puerile and kind of satirically narcissistic to take on a president.
You can find Not Stupid on the ABC Listen app.
And watch it on iView.
Home invasions, stabbings, carjackings. In Victoria, there's been a wave of serious and violent crimes. But is it right to label Melbourne the crime capital of Australia? Today, ABC Melbourne Mornings presenter Raf Epstein on what's going on in the nation's second most populous state and the divisive political debate around it. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily.
Handcuffed at the end of an alleged crime spree lasting hours. 5 teenagers aged 13 to 16...
Sparring in the middle of a suburban shopping centre on a Friday night, armed with machetes.
Masked intruders charged up her driveway and jumped into her car, taking off with her twin 4-year-old boys in the back seat. A cache of 24 guns, seized by police in Melbourne's southeast. Criminal incidents are now at a record high.
Raf, every weekday morning you're on ABC Radio in Melbourne, hosting a program, of course, talking to the community. I dare say you've had a fair few people ring in recently about crime.
It is a conversation that's been gathering pace, especially over the last few years. But even just this week, 2 home invasions in 2 well-known Melbourne suburbs. Earlier in the week, if you can picture a 76-year-old woman who's a grandmother, her name's Pat. She's in her dressing gown in her lounge room in the Melbourne suburb of Brighton. People have broken into her home. They are armed.
The knife looked like a kitchen knife, maybe 18, 20 centimetres long. And he said to me, "Give me your car keys."
And amazingly, she told our drive show she was the one scolding them and telling them to go away.
And I yelled out to him, "No." And then I said to him, "Get out of my house."
Gosh, how terrifying though.
Braver than me.
Yeah.
And another one was Wednesday morning this week, 3 a.m. in the morning. We, on our show, spoke to a guy called Josh. He's got his wife, he's got 2 kids. They wake to the sound of shattering glass.
I walked out the bedroom up the hallway and saw a guy with a hammer that was smashing the rear kind of door, and then a second guy on another window smashing that through.
He confronts them.
I will admit I was a bit upset at that stage, so I picked up a chair and threw it out the window at them, and at that point one of them said, "Hit him with the hammer."
He realises that his 3-year-old daughter has walked into the hallway. So these are stories that happen more and more.
So I made sure that she stayed there. I told her to stay while this was going on. So it's more at that point, when more of my family was involved, that you start to think about the risks.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying, and as you say, with kids involved as well. So, Raf, let's just consider then this suggestion that Melbourne is the crime capital of Australia, and that's a title, of course, that no state wants. There really has been a number of really, really concerning crimes recently. You've just told us about some of them. And there's more, including this woman who was stabbed in broad daylight in the centre of Melbourne. Now, a video of that actually went viral. Just tell me about it.
It's a young woman named Wanlei. She's a sushi chef. She is walking in a very busy, small street in the centre of the city. It's like 7:30 in the morning. And you can see on the video, She's just walking along. There is no confrontation with a 32-year-old who was thankfully later charged. The 32-year-old woman walks up behind the sushi chef, and just there's a small bit of contact. Then the 32-year-old gets in front of the 36-year-old and just quickly stabs her. Like it is so fast, so random. There's no conversation. There's no altercation. And the chef just sort of suddenly pauses, sort of puts her hands to her chest, and then you can see that she sort of collapses onto the ground and thankfully people come to her aid. There's definitely concerning incidents. We spoke to a guy here on a temporary visa. His hand was nearly cut off. He went to Altona Meadows shopping centre, was just, get some electronic gear, attacked by a bunch of teenagers with a machete. He needed microsurgery to reattach his arm.
It's going to be a long, uncertain journey for me to recover from all of these injuries. But as per the doctors and the surgeons, it was a very complex surgery that they had to perform to put my hand back together.
The stats we can definitely get into, but there are no end of stories. And as someone said to me on the radio this week, if it hasn't happened to you, you can't understand the impact that it has both on that person and that family, on those circle of friends. Because if that happens to someone you remember that. That leads in your brain far more than any statistical nuance.
So they're the cases that we hear on the news. So you tell me then, what, Raf, do the official statistics actually show about crime in Victoria?
Maybe the simple way to phrase it actually is that a couple of different things can be true all at once. There's no doubt over the last few years there's been an uptick in the general incidence in crime.
Among Victoria's fastest growing crimes, car theft up 42%, thefts from cars up 39%, family violence order breaches rising 17%, and retail theft jumping 28% in the year to July.
It's also the case that if you look at the number of incidents and you account for the rise in population, the rate of incidents is lower. So some things have got better. The number of breaking and entering stats, that's also gone down. What has not gone down and what has gone up is violent assaults. The really bad news, the really concerning news, there's a smaller group of young offenders. They're doing really nasty things and they're doing a lot of them.
Yeah.
They are a smaller cohort than in the past, but they are doing dozens. Sometimes people are notching up something like 50, 60, 70 offences, and they are the really scary crimes. They involve machetes, they involve carjackings, they involve going into a house with a machete, and those are the crimes that concern people. Those are the crimes that are concerning and feeding into our politics.
All right, well, Raf, when there's crime, then there's the politics, and there's been a heap of that. Premier Jacinta Allen, she doesn't deny that there's a problem, and she is trying to do things to, I guess, assure the public that they're not unsafe living in Victoria.
This brazen pattern of repeat offending is causing great concern in our community, which is why we've already taken action to give police additional powers. We've strengthened the bail laws. We're getting these dangerous weapons off the streets and absolutely acknowledge that there is more work to be done.
When you say the Premier doesn't deny there's a problem, that's probably one of the most contentious things you could say in Victoria.
Okay.
Because the coalition, who've been in opposition for a long time, right? The opposition's main contention is that the Premier has been denying there is a problem. The government's language has changed lately. They are ramping up the bail laws and things like machete bins. So you can surrender the legal machete that you might have purchased in the past because they've made them illegal. But the Premier has been targeted for saying things like, look, the city is safe. To the point where the tabloid in Melbourne, the Herald Sun, puts, on the front page, this is not safe, Premier. Why are you saying that it is? So when you say she doesn't deny there's a problem, it goes to the heart of the politics.
Yeah, because even the federal opposition leader, Susan Lee, she's also labelled Melbourne the crime capital of Australia.
I love this state. I care about Melbourne. Unfortunately, it's gone from the world's most livable city to the crime capital of this country, and that's not good enough.
She's not the only one that's jumped on this. The Queensland Premier, David Crisafulli. He's been getting involved.
But I'll tell you another thing I can offer. If they live in Melbourne, they've got a place that's dealing with youth crime and they won't get stabbed. That's a good start.
So the opposite side of politics really wants to make something of this.
And there is a history of it. Back in 2018, Peter Dutton came to Melbourne. Again, crime was the number one issue in Melbourne. The state opposition were running hard on it. Peter Dutton said that people felt too scared to go out to restaurants because of African gangs.
The reality is, people are scared to go out to restaurants at the night time because they're followed home by these gangs, home invasions and cars are stolen, and we just need to call it for what it is. Of course it's African gang violence.
This was a line that the state opposition at the time were pushing. That was seen to go down like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt it is the hot button political issue, and the federal leaders try to buy into it. I'm not sure if they are successful. I don't know if Susan Lee's comments landed well. Peter Dutton certainly didn't.
Yeah, sure. But these issues of crime, they can actually affect political outcomes, can't they? Because we saw that, Raf, most recently in Queensland, because crime was a huge issue during that campaign as well.
And if government changes by the end of the year, the Making Queensland Safer laws will be laws. Adult crime, adult time. Detention as a last resort will be removed and the rights of victims will be embedded in legislation.
100% crime can be a political game changer. Crime rate numbers in Queensland are coming down. But still, David Crisafulli, adult crime, adult time, that slogan that he used and that he rode to power, that resonates in Victoria, that gets mentioned in Victoria. That is, I guess, piece of political evidence numero uno that crime can win you election. It was fantastic for David Crisafulli recently in Queensland. Got to wait 12 months to find out what happens in Victoria.
But tell me then, Raf, do you think that this story is being told in the right way? Or is the media and some political leaders telling a story that doesn't actually reflect reality?
It's a really hard question to answer. But what is the story? And it goes back to those crime rates. If I say to someone who's just confronted someone with a screwdriver in their lounge room, did you know the crime rate's down over 8 or 10 years? The number of incidents of crimes in Victoria, even when you account for population, actually it's down. That doesn't really resonate. It probably doesn't matter to the person who's been broken into. On top of that, you have got a Labor government. They have been here for a really long time.
Yeah.
The media, some in the media are coming. They are coming for Labor. There is no doubt there is an agenda. The Herald Sun has a copyrighted, trademarked slogan or a banner, suburbs under siege. So that's part of the reporting. But don't forget, at the core of it, violent crime's up. Violent crime's up over time, even accounting for population. So are people getting a real story? I am very confident. I'll get laughed at, but I reckon we're doing a really good job. Yeah. I think the ABC's really trying to explain the complexities of this.
Yes.
The rest of the time, I don't know. Are people getting the real story? I have to wimp out with an answer, Sam, and say that's in the eye of the beholder.
All right. Well, it's clear, Raf, this can be a really divisive debate, and the people of Victoria want to know that they do live in a great state, and it is a great state, and they want to know that they live in a safe state. So, I mean, do you think this crime could get worse before it gets better?
I tell you what I find fascinating. The most important person in any of our states outside of the elected government is the police commissioner. They're not elected, but they're very accountable. We've got a new police commissioner, Mike Bush, who's got a fantastic track record as the Commissioner of Police in New Zealand. He is the first police commissioner we've had in Victoria who said, you know what, the crime rate is going to go down under me.
We've got to turn this around, and we can, Raf, but we all have to work together. In fact, the whole system's got to work together. But we have to police differently. Our people are up for it. They are hungry for change.
He's given himself his 5-year term to do it, but I did say to him last time he was on the radio, is crime going to go down before the next election in 12 months' time?
That's the aim. We've got to stretch ourselves. This is a stretch target, Raf, but it's important for the public that we do this.
I want to know if that is actually going to happen.
Rafael Epstein presents The Morning Show on ABC Radio in Melbourne. This episode was produced by Jessica Wukyunov and Sydney Peed. Audio production by Cinnamon Nippard. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again on Monday. Thanks for listening.